On this edition of Native Report, we visit the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin to learn about our own Ernie Stevens' involvement as a coach for the youth lacrosse program for the nation.
We attended a dedication ceremony for a sculpture near Chamberlain, South Dakota.
And we learn more about how to deal with the effects of intergenerational trauma in part 2 of our discussion with Dr. Martin Brokenleg. We also learn about what we can do to lead healthier lives and hear from our elders on this Native Report.
Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee-Mdewakanton Sioux community, the Blandin Foundation, and the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation.
Welcome to Native Report. I'm Ernie Stevens.
And I'm Rita Aspinwall. The game of lacrosse has a long history across Indian country. Almost every nation had a version of the ball game that they played. Next, we travel to the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin and learn about the game from a coach very familiar to us, Ernie Stevens.
Interest in the Oneida Community Lacrosse program has grown in recent years as the game has been making a comeback across Indian country. Tonight, teams are practicing in the gymnasium at the Cliff Webster building.
One of the unique things about our program is we're open to anybody. You know, we have native, obviously Oneidas, we have non-Oneidas, we've had non-natives who have played in our program. They're learning the game and they're learning the principles and all those fundamentals, but they're learning things that they'll never find in any other program. We got kids from Wausau, kids from De Pere, kids from other areas that have heard about the program and how we teach the game. It's not just about, you know, the fundamentals. They learn about the spiritual, cultural side of it and how to respect that and why, you know, who they're playing for and why they have to respect the game. And so it creates a whole new understanding. You'll learn the game. We got good coaches, we got former players, we got good individuals, community members who teach this game for the same reasons I do. You know, they care about the game, they love the game, they want to see it instilled into the kids. The support is there. Here in the community, it sort of also kind of faded a little bit. You know, and at that particular time, this was about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a small group came together and got, you know, more concerted in their efforts, and because it was a shared goal. I wanted to see it back in my community. I wanted kids to carry sticks again and do all those things, you know, and so that was important for a lot of people, including myself. That was for me a philosophical thing. I just decided to be a part of it and try to instill that into our kids, and it's still doing it today. So I'll do as long as I can.
Also practicing tonight is the U15 team. All team practices will eventually transfer outdoors to this field when the weather warms up. Along with the number of teams, there are a number of leagues and a couple of ways to play the game. One way is box lacrosse.
Basically, a box, you know, it's more like a hockey rink. It's much smaller, almost like comparing soccer to hockey. You know, soccer you got open wide fields, maybe not that big, but smaller dimensions, much faster game, much more physical game. You have a goalie who's got, you know, twice as much gear on. The goal's smaller. They're pretty much guarding the whole thing, so it's all about angles and timing. You know, it's just a much faster game, and if you're not used to it and you go right into it, you know, it's like a, you know, kind of a culture shock for you. As you get older, you know, and you really want to be a lacrosse player, you kind of have to be a box lacrosse. You have to play box.
My youngest son, Kian, who is playing out there, he has just turned 7 years old. He started last year when he was 6. He's basically kind of following in all his older brother's footsteps. I've had my oldest son, who is soon to be 22. He's played lacrosse through middle school and high school, was state championship in high school. My other son, who's out here today, he's 11. He plays lacrosse. He's been playing for a few years now, so Kian just kind of followed in their footsteps. I also have a niece who played for quite a few years as well. It's kind of our family sport, I would say. I explain to my sons when they play lacrosse and they're going against other teams, other tournament teams who do not have tribal affiliation. I always remind my children that they're not only playing for the sport, they're also playing because of their culture and because of the connection to the creator, that it's the creator's game. So I always remind them to make sure they're playing with a good heart and a good mind.
There are many reasons to play lacrosse, but most likely, the one reason kids take part in the game is that it is fun. The same can be said for the coaches, who all do so voluntarily.
It's definitely helps me live the game, you know. I think at the end of the day, I mean, as much as I love being a part of it, and you know, I got 3 sticks now, and where 5 years ago I didn't have any, and my kids got multiple sticks, so it's a part of our life. It is our life now, so that feels good. What really gets to me the most and inspires me the most is the kids.
It keeps them active. I want my kids to be healthy. That's really important to me. So I think the physical part of it, the mental, the spirituality, I think this sport encompasses all of those things. Our program, the United Community Lacrosse Program, it's more than a sporting program. So we've been affiliated for like high school sports, other like Green Bay, different other community affiliated sports. And this one is special because it's more like a family.
This game can help you. It can heal you. And any parents looking to get their kids involved, it really has a special power to it. And it's something that's across Indian country. They all know it. It's nothing unique to us, but it's something that it's a shared thing, a shared understanding of the game, and we know that when we're out playing it, the creator's watching.
I'm part of the Duluth Superior Volunteer Market Committee for the American Cancer Society, way up here on the western tip of Lake Superior. Much of what happens for organizations like the American Cancer Society and the American Indian Cancer Foundation happens because of volunteers. There's a program called Road to Recovery, and the goal of this program is to give rides to people going in for cancer treatment appointments. This is a nationwide program, and it depends on people just like you. Volunteer drivers donate whatever amount of time they can, and they decide what days they are available, what times work for them, and how far they can drive. Volunteer drivers check their email daily, and they can accept or decline the rides that are needed on that day. Drivers need to have a good, dependable car and a clean driving record, and there is an online training required before they start. We all know cancer is a bad disease, but it takes everything away from those afflicted with it. Money runs out with medical bills to be paid, house payments get pushed back. Most people with cancer cannot work during their treatments, and side effects make it difficult and cause lots of fatigue and nausea. Family members need to keep working just to put food on the table, and often cannot take time off work to drive someone to cancer treatment appointments. Sometimes cancer patients are simply alone. This really doesn't take much time, and even if someone could do this once a week or so, it would lift a huge burden from someone with more burdens than anyone should carry. Being a volunteer driver is a perfect opportunity for someone retired or with time available for any reason. Go to cancer.org or call the American Cancer Society at 800-227-2345 to see what volunteer opportunities are available in your area. The American Indian Cancer Foundation has several big events to raise money and awareness in the fight against cancer and has a Native American focus. Every year they put on the Powwow for Hope at Fort Snelling in St. Paul, and in 2016, the Music for Hope concert in Phoenix, Arizona raised $10,000 for the American Indian Cancer Foundation. All dancers, drum groups, MCs, and artists are volunteers. Don't have any of those skills? There are still plenty of opportunities to help and make a difference. Go to AmericanIndianCancer.org or call 612-314-4848 for more details. Our heritage and our traditions as a Native people dictate we help those less fortunate and that we share our gifts. You may just find that by giving, you will also be given a gift you never expected. Volunteer. You can make a difference. Don't forget to call an elder. They've been waiting for your call. I'm Dr. Ernie Stevens, and this is Health Matters.
Just off Interstate 90 near Chamberlain, South Dakota, is the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center, home to an extraordinary gift of the people of South Dakota, a 50-foot, 12-ton stainless steel sculpture depicting a young Native American woman wrapping herself in a star quilt. Her name is Dignity.
High atop a bluff overlooking the Missouri River, South Dakota's new landmark, Dignity, was dedicated. After the presentation of the colors, a crowd of 200 people were welcomed by the Wobbly Ska Drum and Dance Society.
Midakyapi, to all our beautiful relatives, to the Wamashkashka, the animal nation, to Kushimaka, Grandmother Earth, Machbia, Grandfather Sky, Chante Washte Nape Chuzapi, Belinda Fay Joe Rencounter Amachiapi. We have a special gift for you today, relatives. Our Creator gave each and every one of us a gift, and today we are going to share ours with you, and to also share it with our beautiful relative who stands behind us. When I first arrived here and looked up to see her, I became very emotional because my ancestors, mi ina, mi ate, mi tui, mi dekshi, never would imagine such a beautiful, beautiful Wia standing here, looking over, watching us, protecting us, and telling us to do good things, showing us to stand up, walk with dignity, walk with pride, walk with respect. Oha, everyone, we chose ani, good health, good blessings.
The statue was gifted to the people of South Dakota through a generous donation by Norman Unibel McKee. Their daughter, Faye Bice, spoke for the family at the event. Also on hand to offer remarks were the sculptor, Dale Lamphere, and South Dakota Governor, Dennis Dugard.
Dignity is our way of saying thanks to the people of South Dakota. We are gifting this amazing Lamphere sculpture, Dignity, to be yours forever. I first heard my father's concept for dignity a little over 3 years ago at my birthday lunch. She didn't even have a name at that time, but my parents' vision, combined with Dale's and Pat's artistry and creativity, resulted in this. Dignity lives. Dignity is alive.
Dignity was created with the minerals of this earth, and she wears the colors of the sky and the waters around her. She allows the sun and the wind to move through her. She is of the earth and the sky and reflects the beauty and strength of the cultures in this state that inspired her. My intent for this is to have the sculpture stand as an enduring symbol of our shared belief that we are in a sacred place and that we are all sacred. I'm humbled and so grateful to have this chance to contribute to the future landscape of South Dakota and the Great Plains. Thank you very much.
Dale didn't mention this, but I'm going to. If you look at the sculpture, you'll see there are some parts of the sculpture that have perforated metal. Metal has tiny holes in it. Well, that's backlit by LED lighting at night. You'll also see the silver diamonds are welded in place. The blue diamonds are able to move a little bit in the wind. They're designed to be able to move a little bit, and also to allow wind to get through. So really, it's more than a beautiful work of art. It has elements that make it even more spectacular at different times of the day and in different weather. So it really is super creative. This is very meaningful to our state. In addition to being the state of Mount Rushmore and the state of Crazy Horse, I believe the prominent location of Dignity and the visibility that she offers to so many millions of travelers who will be moving up and down Interstate 90 I think we'll soon become the state of not just those two stone monuments, but also this beautiful metal sculpture as well.
As the day's celebration wound down, star quilts were presented to the principal players that made the sculpture a reality.
In our way of life of O Dakota, O Lakota, one of the highest honors you could give a relative is an eagle feather or an eagle plume, and those are earned, or when you receive your Dakota or Lakota name. The other honor is to receive a star quilt, a shina. Ihani, long ago we had buffalo robes, and those were the highest honors that were given.
There are a couple of kind of stories. There are just general, humorous, everyday stories, and then there are the what people call legends, but I don't call them legends. I call them teachings. They are the Winnebujo stories that are told only in the evening, at night, during the winter months, okay? Because that is a time for learning. When we're in our lodges, when we're in our homes, those stories are told, those teachings are told so that our children will learn about life. To tell a Winnebujo story, the stories that you tell about this Manadu, it would take you from the time you were a year old to probably the time you're about 80 years old to finish telling the stories, and then you probably wouldn't be done anyway, because he spent his whole life teaching Shinabe people how to live.
Next, our education specialist, Christina Woods, continues her conversation with Dr. Martin Brokenleg, co-author of the book, Reclaiming Youth at Risk, Our Hope for the Future. They discuss coming to terms with trauma, the role of tradition in healing, and what it means to be a snowplow parent.
See, I think it's really important for Indigenous people to recognize we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't make this happen. It's the result of history. We didn't do it, and our reaction to it is not wrong. Our reaction to it is human and normal. Although a victim will say, I did something wrong. That's the victim speaking. So we have to leave the victim behind and start to walk toward the light.
What do you see as the most common way for people to recognize that this has happened to us and it's not my fault?
Mm-hmm.
How is that happening in communities?
Well, I think becoming self-aware and talking to one another about this is an important process, not to blame anyone else, but simply to recognize that these were conditions that were not under our control. The U.S. government is not under our control. And then we have to sort out, what did I do that caused that myself? Because sometimes we did that. Some people will say, well, I was pretty wild when I was young because I just didn't know any better. That was the best I could do at the time. Well, by the time you get to be 30, 40, 50, then you want to say, okay, that was my younger self, but now what am I going to do? And we need to sort out what we have inherited historically and from what we have done ourselves. And then we start to want to move in a positive direction from there, either processing that material, and then I would say, fourthly, we need to start to recover our strength. And for Indigenous people, our strength always comes from our traditions. If you don't speak your language, start learning. Go to somebody, buy a book, get an app. I have a couple of Lakota language apps on my phone. Learn courtesy phrases. You don't have to be fluent. You just have to start learning courtesy phrases to greet people, to say please, to say thank you. And if people do speak their language, I think it's important for them never to ridicule somebody who's learning, but to instead thank them for learning their language and encouraging them as much as possible. Because learning our language is gathering our strength. We need also then, related to that, try to find all the other places where Indigenous people typically have expressed ourselves, and those are our traditional ceremonies. We should go to social events like powwows, yes, but it's important that you go to the Medewin. people and talk to them and understand them. Go to ceremonies. I have never been in a sweat lodge where there isn't at least one person for whom it's their first time. And so if you have never been, find somebody who goes and say, can I go with you? And it's crucial in all of that process that you never permit anybody to tell you that your traditions are evil. There are a few people out there who will do that, but we should never accept that. Our traditions were not evil. In fact, the Creator was speaking to our ancestors through all of that history. And so what we have is not accidental. It's here by the will of the Creator. And it's given to us to suit our nature, to suit the character of us as a people. That's our source of strength. And so going to our traditional ways is never a problem. But a lot have never been before. So start.
And open an invitation
Mm-hmm.
to invite someone along.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going, say, I'm going to go to this. Anybody interested? Will you go with me?
When we send our children out into the environments away from our homes, even if our homes are filled with trauma, we're still sending our children out. And they're entering environments like school with a number of liabilities that get in the way of success. Will you talk about that a little bit? Maybe ways we can help identify when children are arriving to school with trauma that they don't even know about, and maybe a couple of ways to help children right off the bat when they walk right in that door.
I'm coming across a larger proportion of schools, and I encourage schools to do this, to do what I call teaching the whole student. Back about 50 years ago, teachers could be focused only on content because they thought only the intellectual part of the brain mattered. But what we know now from brain science is that the human brain essentially has three portions. There's the brain stem, down almost in our neck, that has to do with basic body functions. The very top of the person's brain is the intellectual part. But then the bulk, the huge middle part of the brain has to do with feelings, emotions, what psychologists call affect. Motivations and emotional states. The largest part of our brain is devoted to that. So that tells me that's important to consider, because unless that part of the person's brain is functioning, the intellectual part can't kick in on the top. So more and more teachers are being taught the importance of this, and so they're realizing that you don't just teach content. First of all, you have to relate to the emotional side of that student. Make sure that they're comfortable enough that they can learn, that they've had something to eat in the morning. So you have to tend those basic needs, but basic needs include emotional needs. Once those are tended, only then can the child's intellect start to kick in. Well, teachers are understanding that, and as family members, then, if we're sending our children or our grandchildren out the door, it's our job to be the snowplow, and to go before our child and connect with the teacher and say, I want to work with you. I have really never come across a teacher who sees the teacher's job as being an enemy of the parent. Most teachers want to be connected to the parents and be an ally in some kind of a way. Well, parents should try to build on that as well. I know it's easy to get frustrated and say the teacher's an enemy, but most of them really are not. So what works the best is if the parents create an alliance with the teacher, and you do that by going to the school, saying, here I am, here's my phone number, but I work all day, so never call me before 4 or 5 or whatever your time is. Teachers appreciate that. As a parent, I try to prepare my own kids to live in the world as I saw it, which meant that I wanted them to be gracious and kind and courteous and all the good, noble qualities that any good human being should have. But I figured they're also going to encounter racism. And so they're going to have to need to know what to do about that. So the slogan I gave to my kids was, if somebody doesn't like you because you're Indian, that was the word at the time, if somebody doesn't like you because you're Indian, there's something wrong with them. No matter what they say, if they don't like you because you're Indian, there's something wrong with them. Well, we went to one of the city parks one day, and my older daughter was over the swing set, and she came running over to me and she said, Dad, there's something wrong with that boy over there. And I said, what, does he need help? She said, no, he just says he doesn't like Indians. So she got the message, and that's what I wanted her to have, because our kids are going to deal with that. There are racists in the world. And so we have to prepare our kids to deal with that realistically, not to create a fight or to be confrontational, but just to say, I understand where you are, and you're weird. Because actually, a racist, like a sexist, is maladapted to American life. America is at least 51% female. America has a diversity of races, and if you're well adjusted, you live with all of those folks realistically. If you can't, there's something wrong with you. So my daughter was right, there was something wrong with the kid.
My conversation continues with Dr. Brokenleg. Next time on Native Report, we'll talk about the difference between historical and intergenerational trauma, how we heal, and the steps to building resilience in the next generation.
For more information about Native Report or the stories we've covered, look for us on the web at nativereport.org, on Facebook, and on YouTube.
Thank you for spending this time with your friends and neighbors in Indian Country. I'm Rita Aspinwall.
And I'm Ernie Stevens. We'll see you next time on Native Report.
Rita Aspinwall is an enrolled member of the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and is an ICWA social worker with Fond du Lac Social Services. Ernie Stevens is a member of the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin and is a film and television producer. Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee-Mdewakanton Sioux community, the Blandin Foundation, and the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation.